Hello everyone, Pineapple here with the last, for now, of our Fear Street run, the odd one out 2025's Fear Street Prom Queen. This was made after the initial trilogy, and instead of building from Part 3's cliffhanger ending, we take a step back into 1988, and with little connection to the other films. Now this is only so obviously apparent thanks to how close and intertwined the last trilogy was, but there is almost no cohesion between this film and the trilogy. Sure, it takes place in the same town, so a lot of the background and setup works within the Fear Street universe, but the rules aren't the same. The goods have absolutely nothing to do with anything here. It just kind of feels like another movie was being made, and right before filming they changed the place names to fit into Fear Street. It's in the ending that I'm largely critical of the fact this is in the franchise, but I will say, while this has shortcomings in a series and on its own, there were parts I really liked. Mostly Megan. But without further ado, let's get into the film. We start with a really quick, you probably wondered how I got into this situation type opening. And considering it lasts no more than 30 seconds, it wasn't really needed. It adds quite literally nothing than a jarring cut when it starts, and abruptly morphs into showing off the Shadyside School from the perspective of our main character, Laurie Granger, played by India Fowler, who, much like Dina, has very annoying moments throughout the movie, and doesn't have the extended runtime to become endearing. She's played decently and is empathetic enough, but there were more than a few times I was hoping she'd cark it. We get some references to the other movies, nice touch, but after watching and knowing this movie has very little to do with the overall plot of Fear Street, it feels a little clout chasey. We get introduced to more characters who will become our suspects with narration from Laurie. Lily Taylor playing Vice Principal Breckenridge, who is very intent on reforming Shadyside's image, and seemingly having the actual principal whipped. Laurie reveals that the prom is coming, and it's the talk of the school, girls vying for the position of prom queen, with the main girl clique at the top, their leader being Laurie's bully, Fina Straza playing Tiffany Falconer, cringedly dubbed the leader of the wolf pack. In the running is bad bitch dealer Christy Renault, played by Ariana Greenblatt, probably the biggest name of the young actors, makes sense why they kill her off so quickly. Then there is the rest of the wolf pack, Jesus. Linda Harper, played by Alana O'Driscoll. That name sounds familiar. Anyway, she's probably the most bland of the wolf pack, as most of them really aren't given moments to shine, but even with a more ignored role in the grand scheme of the movie, she plays the role well. Next is Rebecca Black as Debbie Winters. Same deal, except I actually remember Linda. Lastly is the only one of these wolf pack to have a character arc, Melissa McKendrick, played by Ella Rubin. Probably the only one of these characters I was sad to see go, and we might be seeing more of Ella Rubin sometime on the channel, as I have debated taking a look at two of her previous movies. Laurie makes sure we know how unpopular and hashtag relatable she is with basic ass dialogue. Now, I don't have anything against India Fowler's acting, but seriously, Laurie just doesn't do anything for me in this film. Thank God though, coming to save us is the introduction of the best character, the one I was actually concerned about dying, Megan Rogers, played by Susanna Sun. Kinda socially awkward, horror and hash buff, and just genuinely looking out for Laurie's best interest with a little enthusiasm from said girl. The dynamics are pretty well shown in class as students, Tiffany mostly, and their teacher shit on Laurie. So in response, as a good friend, Megan pretends to cut her own arm off.
Buddy! Shit just went from 0 to 100 real fucking quick.
And we hear probably the best line delivery of the movie.
Principal's office right fucking now!
We get drip-fed into Laurie's past, the reason her family is so stigmatized being a major plot point through the movie. And while I'm not so chuffed about Laurie, I think the mystery is revealed well. But until a confrontation midway through, all we get is that Laurie's mother's prom was cancelled thanks to her father's death, and her mother's guilt assumed. To get cash for her dress, Laurie picks up shifts at a diner, where she stares longingly at Tiffany's boyfriend, David Takano playing Tyler Torres. And while the character works really well as a later reveal, first things first, if the boy is so eager to jump out of his relationship after he meets you, I don't know, twice, that's a red flag. And due to not caring about Laurie that much, I care even less about him. Across the street from Laurie is the Falconers, because I guess no matter how better than the rest they claim to be, they're still stuck in Shadyside.
these people are weird. Totally weird.
We get the mind-blowing reveal the shitty teacher from before is Tiffany's dad, and we see the obvious ways that the Falconers have raised Tiffany into the little shit that she is. And later on, there are one or two actual empathetic moments with her, but the third act reveal kinda ruins these moments. Billy Idol montage scene, because 80s, and we get the first kill of the movie. A pretty cool entrance for the killer, but also makes Christy, the supposed bad girl, really fucking pathetic.
Where is Christy Renaud?
Oh, I don't even think the parents know half the time. I hear she's been with an older boy, strutting around in red cowboy boots, weekend orgies.
Wowzers.
We start a weird subplot where a jock bullies the DJ into playing a vetted list of songs for some reason, and Laurie is hyped up by both the vice principal and a stoner. And Tiffany confronts Laurie as she's going to work. A lot of people have clowned on this performance here, but honestly, I love this campy shit-eating threat style. It just makes her look more unhinged, yet somehow less threatening, but it is more entertaining. The only person who seems to miss Christy is Megan, who is now weedless. And the killer's motive is obviously communicated as they literally cross prom queen candidates off a list. Laurie and her mum share a nice moment before heading to prom, both her and Megan cleaning up really well. And it's strange how little we see of the mother, considering that the larger driving force for Laurie to be prom queen comes from the stigma around her mum. The very little they share is fine, but you'd think more of an emphasis would be put on when the mother is actually on screen. They enter the prom with some real dodgy editing and unneeded voiceover, and of course the song playing as they enter is Never Gonna Give You Up. Is this some kind of conspiracy? That's 2 videos recently featuring Rick Astley. What the hell is going on? First, Bet ends with a cover of Never Gonna Give You Up, then this movie features it. But, I'm sure there aren't any other connective tissues between these films. Wait a minute. Both are Netflix exclusive. No, that surely doesn't matter. Hold on though. Remember, there was a name before that sounded familiar. That's right, Ilan O'Driscoll is in this film. And in Bet, Riri was played by Anwen O'Driscoll. Sisters. I don't know what this means, but I'm onto you. Well, with that tangent out of the way, if you like either of them or game playthroughs, go take a look at their channel. I actually got a fair bit of entertainment watching their Resident Evil 7 playthrough. Back to the film, we get some little character moments, the punch is spiked, and some appreciated of the time camera quality. Even if I'm not sure it adds anything. It's probably the most 80s thing here apart from the classic in-your-face needle drops. The prom queen and kings are introduced in a strange dance routine from the Wolfpack. What the fuck is going on? Also, is the principal a pedophile?
Wowzers.
Laurie feels disparaged, but luckily Megan is there to humiliate some of Tiffany's simps to perk her up. Meanwhile, Linda and her boyfriend abscond to a dark room. Oh, I wonder what'll happen in this, let me have a look at the genre. Ooh, horror movie. It's an obvious kill. I'm not too happy with the direction and blocking of Linda's kill, it just feels really fake, but making up for that is the sheer gruesomeness and hilarity of her boyfriend's death via guillotine. The music guy and jock plotline continues because that's what we're all here for, and Tyler is flirting with Laurie so hard he may as well be eye-fucking her. A false head of Tiffany is thrown from the punch bowl in hilarious fashion, leading to a bunch of baseless finger-pointing. Some of the reactions priceless. Laurie is annoyed with Megan's practical joke because she wants to win, etc. And I was correct before. This really is just a less likable retread of the past movies. She's turning into Cindy Berman. Megan pieces out as Duran Duran comes on, and another couple predictably slinks off for some canoodling. Lucky, isn't it, how the only teens making their way to discreet areas to fool around are the Wolfpack. The exact kids that the killers want to get. Both in and out of the party there are some good character jokes sneaked in, and the killer takes care of Debbie and her boyfriend. And while the visuals aren't perfect, the gore and comedy once again does work. Tiffany confronts Laurie, not threatening at all, but I am really enjoying the cheese, even with the weird silences of at least 12 seconds as they look into each other's eyes. Is this queerbaiting? Melissa interrupts and becomes my second favourite character as she actually stands up to Tiffany, and later helping Laurie reapply her makeup as Tiffany ridicules Laurie's parents, retelling the rumour in better detail. Laurie's mother apparently having killed her father after he left her when he knocked her up. The janitor is sent to check on the power that Debbie's body is messing with.
Could you take a look at that, please, Mr. Stokeland? Sure. Why don't I stick the mop up my ass and wash the floor while I'm at it?
And the most involved character arc of the movie is completed as one of the deaths leads to the DJ able to play his own music. Yes, I am that desperate to find upsides here. Back at the dance, Tiffany is starting to act more psychopathic.
You're a monster. And you're a slow fucking learner.
This causes tensions to rise and suddenly it's a dance-off. It's so sudden and the dancing is so drunk at the club coded, I'm a little lost for words. Tiffany is doing a bunch of things and Laurie spends most of her time flopping around like a dead fish, desperately trying to convince the audience it's hype. What were they thinking while filming this? Meanwhile, my new second favourite character, Melissa, is off being stabbed. An interesting character being killed, revealing there are in fact two killers this time. Masked killers that duplicate, a town with a serial killer track record, killing young'uns. Was this the original script of Scream 7 before all of their high-profile actors left the project, after they fired someone for being openly pro-Palestine? The kill and reveal are pretty good, but it's still a total bummer. The VP is proud of Laurie, but really wants her to save herself for her wedding night. Okay. And Tyler finally ditches Tiffany, but sorry, I'm with her here.
Whose plans? Whose future?
What the fuck does that even mean?
Megan sees the killer and thanks to the missing wolf pack figures out another killing is happening. But Laurie couldn't care less because she wants to go off and get finger blasted by Tyler, calling Megan crazy. I would give this movie 3 more points than I'm going to if Laurie died here and the main character spot shifted to Megan. Not only would that give the movie a more pronounced identity, it would just leave me with less suffering. Once alone, Tyler gets a bit pushy but is quickly dispatched. The killer funnily unable to go after Laurie as the blade gets stuck in Tyler's thick skull. And Megan comes across the corpses of the creepy janitor and Debbie, running into Laurie on her way out, but the killer traps them both in the basement. Their escape and hiding is actually effective in its intensity, but it's quickly dulled as the killer just turns around and sees them in the middle of the hallway, like a couple of idiots. Megan, being a badass, gets them out of there, even after impaling her hand on glass. But to her credit, Laurie does get a good hit in. Now the prom queen is revealed just as they make it back, Laurie winning, but to get to her on the stage, the killer carves through the crowd, and I do mean that literally. It's not perfect, but the sheer audacity and campiness of it, even with a Wilhelm, feels like we're in a different movie, but it's great. Megan comes in clutch, distracting the killer, but before she can get got, Laurie takes the tiara and gouges the killer's eye out, revealing himself to be Tiffany's dad. And he did it all for his family, so they could win. It's kinda stupid, but works for the reveal later. But of course, this is the first way it breaks the rules of the franchise, as he is pretty conscious of his actions. He isn't possessed by the goods, so why is this even a Fear Street film? The principal is down one arm, and with some more good comedic moments, Laurie and Megan make up, and she's gone from the rest of the film. Fuck you, movie. The cops make references to past attacks, and Laurie, out of the kindness of her own heart, rides home with Tiffany and keeps her company. Hey, maybe they can find some common ground and become friends, but as Tiffany's mum returns, things go tits up. She tries to murder Laurie, who tries to hide with Tiffany, but Tiffany goes from fear to glee and tries to knife Laurie. The twist revealed! They're a messed up serial killer family. Wow, so they're just like this? No possession? Once again, why is this a Fear Street movie? It could have been its own mostly bad but at least cultly liked little Netflix horror movie. Tiffany's mum reveals she killed Laurie's dad out of jealousy. But as is the downfall of most villains, literally in this case, their monologuing allows Laurie the chance to kick Tiffany down the stairs, impaled. Look, from a critical view, this third act, part 2, is kind of arse. But from a campy so bad it's good perspective, I really enjoy how over the top it is. In revenge, the mum tries to kill Laurie again, but she gets the better of her thanks to a trophy to the head, leaving her to bleed out onto the floor as she stares at her. It's actually kinda creepy. But that's where the film ends, with Laurie walking out of the house. Well, almost. There's a post-credit scene of the mother's blood coalescing into the witch's mark. What does that mean? No idea. It doesn't really make sense with anything the last 3 movies told us. Man, this is frustrating. So that was Fear Street Prom Queen, although I hesitate calling it a Fear Street movie. Did I enjoy the film? Yes. There are definitely parts like small moments from minor characters that make you laugh, to the violent shift for the third act. I can see that if this movie was its own thing, it definitely could have become a little niche cult hit. But making it a Fear Street film makes it infinitely worse, as unlike those films, nothing really makes it feel like the time period other than the obnoxious music. The rules of those films aren't followed or expanded upon in what is a great supernatural horror/thriller without following the rules. The tone is inconsistent, and through no fault of the actress, I could take or leave the main character, but mostly leave. Megan was great, Melissa had her moments, and while I couldn't take her seriously, Fina Straza brought a great campy and cheesy tone to make Tiffany's cruelty interesting. Sure, not for the reasons that were intended, but I enjoyed it all the same. I really wanted the film to be higher, but with so much failing and the hard-to-ignore comparisons of this to the pretty solid trilogy beforehand, almost set this flick up for failure. So I'm gonna have to give Fear Street Prom Queen a 4 out of 10, and I think that's charitable. Only watch this for a laugh. Thank you already for watching my review of Fear Street Prom Queen. Yeah, probably gonna come out sooner, but we got distracted by Wednesday, and it fits spooky month perfectly. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, ring the notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.